Hi guys, this is Ms. Collier here, gonna help you through section 6 notes. Let me get it started here. We're gonna talk about the midpoint and distance formulas. Remember, this is a video, so you can pause anytime you need to write something down, or you can go back and rewatch something if you need to. So here we go. Let me get a pen here. Bear with me, this is my first one doing this. Okay. So the first thing, this should be review, but they name the quadrants 1, 2, 3, 4 based on going counterclockwise this way. These are Roman numerals. If you don't like those, you can just write 1, 2, 3, 4 normal. The x-axis is this one, labeled the x right here. And the y-axis is this one up here, labeled the y. The origin is the point 0, 0. Here he is. And remember that you're going to move x first, then y. So I'm going to have you try and plot these. So if you want to hit pause and plot those for a minute, and then you can hit play again, and I'll be on here plotting them. Let's see, I'm going to do green. Okay, so I'm going to plot 2, 5. So you start at 0, 0, over 2, up 5. There's the 2, 5. You should label it either, sometimes I'll give you a letter to label it with, but this one gives you the numbers. Negative 3, 2 is right here. Bear with my writing here. I'm writing on a tablet that I haven't written on in a couple years. So 0 means 0 on the x and 4 on the y. That one tends to get kids, so watch that one. And then negative 2 zeros over here, because that's on the x. And yours should look just like mine. Okay, next slide. All right, we're going to use this formula to come up with the midpoint formula. I'm going to change colors because green is kind of hard to see, I think. Oh, hold on. Pen color, let's go blue since we're East Jackson. All right, there we go. There we go. What you're going to do, the midpoint is a point. So when we're done, we are going to have an x value and a y value. So if you look, there's two formulas, one for coming up with the x and one for coming up with the y. And these formulas, basically what they do is going to average the x's. You're going to add the two x's, divide by 2, add the two y's, divide by 2. Now notice this is on top of the 2. That means we have to do the addition before we do divide by 2. So make sure you hit enter on the calculator before you divide by 2. So I'm going to plot these points over here so that we can see them and see if our midpoint lands in the right spot. So there's 3, 2, and negative 4, negative 5. There we go. So then I'm going to go use my formula. Now I like to write the points right above each other when I write them on my homework paper. That way I can see the x's lined up and the y's lined up. And sometimes kids have trouble when they're placed like this side by side, they'll grab the wrong number. So I'm going to use the formula. I'm going to take the first x, which is 3. I'm going to add the next x, which is negative 4, and divide by 2. Then I'm going to take the y, 2, plus the other y, negative 5, and I'm going to divide by 2. Now I'm going to do this in my head, not the calculator, so I'm going to do the order of operations correctly. If you need a calculator, you have to do the addition first, then the division. So 3 plus negative 4 is negative 1 over 2, and then 2 plus negative 5 is negative 3 over 2. And then I'm going to divide those by 2. So negative 1 divided by 2, you can do it in your calculator if you need to, is negative 0.5. And then negative 3 divided by 2 is negative 1.5. Now what I'm going to do, and you don't have to, But if it's a quiz question and it's worth 4 points, you might as well check it. If these are my points over here, then my midpoint should be somewhere in the middle here, because this is a segment. If I connect them, ooh, that's a horrible line, sorry. If I draw negative 0.5, negative 1.5, it should be right in this area. Looks good. So that's how we're going to do our midpoint. On this one, I would like you, whoopsie, sorry. I'd like you to try this. Let's see, how do I erase pen? Here we go. If you want to, you can graph them over here. If you want to try the midpoint formula over here, take and pause the movie for a second and try these, and then check them when you're done. So go ahead and pause. Okay, hopefully you got the same thing I did. So I'm going to do the x's. Make sure you grab the x. I didn't write them above each other here. -2 and -8 are the x's. And then the y's. Remember, there's two parts to this formula. One is you do the x's and one is you do the y's. It's not like one big formula. So -8 plus -6 is -10. Divide by 2. 3 plus 7 is 10. Divide by 2. Oops, I got to go to the right here. That'll give me -10 divided by 2 is -5. And 10 divided by 2 is 5. And I'm going to go over and just kind of, I'm not going to graph them real exactly. I'm just going to, let's see, -8, 3 would be about here. And -2, 7 would be about here. So my midpoint should land right in here somewhere. So -5, 5. It's looking pretty good. We'll call him M for midpoint. Oh, I can't draw a straight line on here. I'm going to have to practice, sorry. All right, let's try this one. Let's see, you should have done this. So if I divide by 2, I'll make this quick because you've already done it. And then that's 37 divided by 2, and what, -4 divided by 2? Hopefully I'm right. I don't have you here to tell me I'm wrong, so 2 into 37 is 18.5, I think. And then -2. And then I'm just going to plot it real quick like I was guesstimating. So there's A about, and let's see, there's B about here. So if I go 18.5, that's in the middle, and -2. I'm looking a little off, but I think I counted this one way off, but it's in the right area. Graph paper would help, especially Miss Collier. Graph paper helps. Wow, it's not right now, is it? Okay. Gonna go to the next slide. Stop playing around, Miss Collier. All right. Now this one is a little bit more difficult. So let me see if I have a graph. I don't. Maybe you have a graph actually on your paper, so I'm going to make this a little bit more accurate. It says x has the coordinates 2, 7. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So there's x. Write that down, make sure. And then it says m has the coordinates 6, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1. Now, most kids would jump right on this and do the midpoint formula. The problem is, this is the midpoint formula. Or this is the midpoint right here, so I can't really use the midpoint formula. That won't work. If y is at the other end of the segment, so if I draw a segment, y would have to be down in this area. So how can I find that? I'm going to show you a really easy way to find it on a graph. So let me change my color here so you can see it a little better. Let's try red. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to count down and over from x to m. And I'm going to show my counts on my graph so that my teacher can see it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. And on graph paper, this is much better, or on a little graph. I think I give you those on your homework. Now, if I were to count, this should make sense. If I were to count the same counts from M, I should land in the circle. So count the same counts from M. And we'll see if it lands in the circle. So I'm going to do down 6, 1. All right, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. It lands pretty good in there. And if you show these, that's called showing your work. So now I just got to figure out where that point is. So now I got to find the coordinates of the point. And on graph paper, it's going to be much better. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 to the right. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5. It should only be 5 down. I think I got these a little spaced funky here, but this should be the point where it lands. And like I said on graph paper, this would be much better. So I'm going to have to remind myself to put a little graph on here next time. Okay, and I think you have that graph on yours. I'll take a look and make sure. Yeah, I gave you a little graph, so you should be able to count much better than me. Okay, here we go. Next slide. This, oh, by the way, this is only if they give you the midpoint. That's the only time you really have to do this one. And there is one in the homework like this, so watch that. All right, this is distance formula. I'm going to show you a couple ways to do it. The formula looks like this, and you can put this formula on your formula sheet. And I'll add it to the board when I get back Tuesday. But this says to take the square root of, subtract the x's, square that answer, plus subtract the y's, square that answer. So I am going to try this with this formula, and then I'm going to show you an even quicker way that you can use if you like. So let me find this point. Oh, this point is at 4, 3. And this point is at -5, -3. Okay, so my points are 4, 3, and -5, -3. So if I do this big formula here, this is what it's going to look like. Okay, subtract the y's, 4 minus -5. Make sure you write the minus before you go grab the number, because otherwise you get some problems in here. And then my y's, 3 minus -3. All right. And like I say, if you need to pause, because I tend to write fast, go right ahead. Okay, so minus a minus makes that a plus, so that's going to be 9 squared. And minus a minus makes that a plus, which is 3 plus 3, which is 6. Now, if you need help, you can do that in the calculator, and that's fine. Let's see, 9 squared is 81. Again, you can do it in the calculator if you want. 6 squared is 36. And 81 plus 36 is 117. Uh-oh, gotta grab my calculator. Hang on just a second. Square root of 117. think I already showed you where the square root button is. So square root of 117 should be 10 point something, but like 10.8. Oh, I was right. 10.8. Now that's one way to do it. And that works real well for some kids. But some kids have trouble with these signs and they sometimes get them all mixed up. So I'm going to show you a different way. And this is a little bit quicker if you have a graph. So I'm going to write this formula down. I'm going to write count horizontally squared plus count vertically squared. Oh, my handwriting is horrible. I am so sorry. Okay, so here we go. I want to find out how long it is from A to B. So I'm going to count horizontally first from one point to the next. So I start here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And if you draw a line, then I know where you're at. So that's going to go right here. Count horizontally 9. And then count vertically. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that goes for the vertically. Now if you look, it's the same as starting right here. It just skips this subtract part right here. So you got 81 plus 36. I'm just copying it down from up here because we already did the same thing, but and it does not matter which way you use it, this one or this one, because they both work. If they're big numbers and you don't want to graph them, then probably this way would work. If they're not too bad numbers and you want to graph them, this way works really good and is really fast. So you choose, do a couple this way, a couple this way, see which one you like. And on your formula sheet, you can either write that one or you can write this one. Whichever one you like, or you can write both, because if you're on a test you might want to make sure. So if you want, you can pause this and get this on your formula sheet. Oh my God, my handwriting is so bad. I'm so sorry. Okay, I'll try better next time. All right, and like I said, pause anytime you want. I'm going to go to the next slide. All right, we're going to try two of these. Now, I usually use the counting method, so I think what I'll do is do the counting method on one and the subtract method on the other. And we're trying to determine whether they're congruent, which means we want to see if they're the same length. What we're doing is finding how far it is from here to here. And you can't count crooked, so we got to do something. So remember, if we want to find FG with no bar on top, that's the length of it. So I'm going to write that down. No bar, whoops, that's a H, means find how long. Okay. All right, I'm going to do this one using the numbers. So this is 1, 2, and this is 5, 5. So 1, 2, 5, 5. All right, I'm going to use the subtract method. You can use count if you want. You go over here and count. See if we get the same thing. I'm going to do x minus x squared plus y minus y squared. So that's going to give me -4. Now notice I put it in parentheses, because if you're going to put it in the calculator, you have to put it in parentheses or you'll get a -16 when you square it, which is incorrect. That's a -3 squared Negative 4 squared is positive 16. You should never get a negative when you square. If you do, you're putting it in the wrong calculator wrong. Negative 3 squared is 9. So I am getting 5 for this. Now we're going to do JK and see if we get the same thing. If you want to pause and finish that yourself, you can. If I'm going too fast. That's what's nice about this little video. You can pause Miss Collier anytime and I won't take offense. Alright, this point is negative 4, 0. And this point is negative 1, negative 3. I don't think I needed that if I was just going to count, but that's alright. So I'm going to count horizontally and I'm going to count vertically. It kind of helps if you set your paper up like this. So I'm going to count horizontally, 1, 2, 3. That'll go here. Doop. And 1, 2, 3. That'll go here. Did I count right? Yep, I sure did. Well, they look the same, but I'm not getting the same. Let's see. 3 squared's 9. 3 squared's 9. That's the square root of 18. I think this one's a little short because that was square root of 25. Let me square root 18. Just getting my handy dandy calculator here. I'm getting 4.2. So are they congruent is the question, and so no, they aren't congruent. And your proof is right here. Now if you want to use the counting on both of them, that'd be great. It goes way quicker. Alright, let's see what's on the next one. The counting method comes from this, what we call Pythagorean theorem. I'm thinking you might have heard of it before. It only works in a right triangle, which means you have to have a 90-degree angle. And it's called the Pythagorean. You probably learned it as a squared plus b squared equals c squared. When you have a right triangle, you have a side here that's across from the right angle. That's called the hypotenuse. It's the biggest side too, which some of you probably knew. I'd probably ask that in class. And then these two right here, the other two that are next to the right angle, are called legs. They're attached to this right angle. And what the Pythagorean really says is if you take a leg and square it, and a leg and square it and add it together, you'll always come up with the hypotenuse squared. Later in the year we'll find out why, but for now we'll just use it. So I like this because they'll change the letters around on you. But some of you will use this. Just remember, if you use A, B, and C, the one that's over here by itself has to be the hypotenuse, or the biggest side. So don't ever put the biggest side over there with the little ones, or you'll get it wrong. So this is another method that we can use. Let me show you what I'm talking about. This is the same problem, but if we use, hey, see ya, Mr. Smith just stopped in. Okay, here's the Pythagorean. If we draw this little right triangle, this side is 4 and this side is 3, and these are the legs. So if I do leg squared plus leg squared equals hypotenuse squared, we'll call this guy C, I'm going to get the same answer I got on the last slide that we did an example on. So 16 and 9 is 25. Do you remember how to get rid of squared? I'm hoping you're saying square root right now in your head. Yep, to get rid of squared, you square root both sides, and you end up with exactly what we had before. And then we can do the same thing here for JK. So if I do draw a right triangle, I like drawing it this way. Here's my right triangle. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. I can do leg squared plus leg squared equals hypotenuse squared. Call that C2. So we got 9 plus 9 is 18. And then do your handy dandy. Gosh, I sound like, what's that cartoon that says handy dandy? Is it Blue's Clues, I think? Anyway, I sound like a weirdo. Square root of 18, which we said was 4.2. So here's another way with the Pythagorean. This one comes straight from doing, it's the same as the counting method because you're counting over and up, and it's the same thing. It's just set up a little bit different. I've given you 3 ways to find the length of something, so hopefully you can do that. I'm going to have you do 1 through 11. Try those tonight, or you could start them in class and see how you do. Let me know how you like this video thing, if it works better or the same or what. All right? So I got to get out of here to stop it. So you can stop anytime and stop listening to me, but I got to find my stop recording thing. Okay, here we go. We'll see you tomorrow.